Okay, so 5 years in, the thing that I'm actually thinking about is before the 5 years, because it took us 2 years to actually open this place. And in the lead up to that, there was so much that we had to do. And I remember opening day. Opening day is like seared into my memory, for good and for bad. But I remember being like, I don't know if anybody's going to show up. You never know. And so we didn't have a dishwasher in the kitchen. We didn't have staff. We didn't know. So we opened our doors, and it was the most beautiful chaos. It was, people were so excited, the community all came out, and
we were doing hourly free tours, remember?
It was amazing. Huge support, and it just like blew our socks off, and we had to, but we also just weren't ready. We were totally not ready. I don't think we would have ever been ready, but it was such a beautiful way to start and to finish the 2 years and to start this 5 years. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think there was so many of those moments where it doesn't matter how you tried to prepare, you're not ready for it. And that was it. Opening day was one. For me, it was our very first LCBO order.
Oh yeah.
We didn't even know that our product had been approved. we had just kind of gotten a vague email, and we were like, I think we're in the system, and all of a sudden this order comes in. I think his name was Evan, who was the Spirits Ambassador in Ottawa. He was an avid,
Rideau King Edward.
King Edward. And he was an avid gin fan, and he placed an order right away. And it was Friday at noon, and right away I got in the car and I drove to Ottawa, and I'll never forget showing up there at like 5 o'clock, and they're like, well, Evan's not here, and we'll put it on the shelf on like Monday. And I was like, can you do it right now, please? Like, it would mean a lot to me. That certainly was something I don't think we were prepared for, but quite excited.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of stuff we were not prepared for, it wasn't long after that the pandemic hit. Like, we were only 9 months old when that happened. And it was a tumultuous time. We didn't even think we were going to make it to a year old. Remember, it was a really tough, but we transitioned like right away to producing the hand sanitizer. But we were not ready to do that. Like, it was, it's a non-potable liquid. It couldn't go through any of our bottle filling machines. We gave away like 18,000 bottles, but every single bottle needed to be hand filled, hand labeled. So we'd spend all day giving away, thousands and thousands of bottles, people wrapped around the block. And then we would turn off the lights, unplug the phone, and Graham and I would sit in the middle of the manufacturing floor. We'd wheel out a TV, throw on Netflix, and literally spend the entire night hand filling the bottles we were going to give away the next day. We did that for like a week straight. We weren't eating or sleeping. That was chaos. Everyone else was having a great time making banana bread at their lockdowns, but we were having a very different time for sure.
The pandemic was a great time for a lot of virtual events that we pivoted to doing. For individuals, for birthday parties, for all kinds of stuff. But I remember doing corporate ones, and we had two major corporates that had across the country deliveries to be made for a virtual event.
Oh, the holidays.
For the holidays, for Christmas. And we couldn't get them on time because all the delivery companies were struggling. And so, ended up renting a big SUV, loading it up, and driving from Toronto through Winnipeg, Regina, Calgary, Edmonton.
Merry Christmas.
Doing all these deliveries and dropping off the...
I remember we'd connect with people and be like, Papa Reid is dropping it off as we speak.
I just met your dad. I'm in Regina right now. Okay, so remember we did the Cocktail of the Month Club? Loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Some were.
Some were great. Some were just like, okay, let's figure this out. But the one that I'll never forget was the watermelon. It was a summer month, and we did watermelons, and it works locally.
Like a full watermelon.
A full watermelon. You can deliver that. I can drive up the road and deliver a watermelon. But
also, how heavy is a watermelon?
You're about 2 kilograms. And the issue was we didn't just have Cocktail of the Month here in Toronto. We had Cocktails of the Month in British Columbia, in Washington State. And we shipped them via Canada Post. And I'll never forget the emails. Pictures in these emails from people just being like, this watermelon is exploded in my package, and it's everywhere. And I went, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't ship full watermelons back here.
There have definitely been some like funny failures over the years. I'll never forget. There was one time, it was only, 2 or 3 years ago now, but it was like a hot summer day. We had like the garage door open to let a bit of like breeze come through and everything. And we were all kind of going about our day. And I remember there was a bit of like a scuffle in the back, and So we go and investigate. I could hear something kind of like scratching around, whatever, and it turns out that a groundhog had broken into our production facility through the side door, and like we immediately went into lockdown mode. We like barricaded all the doors. I think we had like 7 or 8 staff. Everyone grabbed like a broom and hockey sticks, and we were trying to like corral this
Very
groundhog.
gently.
We didn't touch it. We didn't touch the groundhog, but we were like corralling it like out. It was absolute chaos and pandemonium. I think Graham still has the security footage from it.
I do. Yeah.
But ever since then, we've just referred to that day as Groundhog Day. It would be funny actually to release that at some point.
On Groundhog Day.
On Groundhog Day. That's a good one.
One of my fondest moments is more recent, having Terry O'Reilly here to do a
From
live
CBC.
recording. CBC from Under the Influence, and I've listened to him for years. On his weekly radio show and admired him, and so it was really neat to have him here recording live and opening it up to the audience for lots of questions.
And it was his only, or one of his few only ever live recordings.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
And it was kind of cool to have somebody who's been so experienced in the industry go, let's try this out. And
that was cool.
Bring the same approach of test and learn that we've used for years here to something as cool as to hear it on the radio too. So
that was good.
And I feel like this place is it's a place that allows you to make connections with really cool people.
Yeah.
Whether that is Terry O'Reilly trying something new, whether that is our own team here, the community of like people who are like, send me a watermelon.
They didn't ask. We just said a watermelon. Okay.
Or also like our suppliers, and we are so lucky to have such amazing suppliers. And I remember when we were doing the recipe development, and we would get these boxes and these little Ziploc bags with all of these different things from foragers, and I mean Canadian forests have so many amazing things in them, and we would distill them. Everything. It would be like this bit of moss and this mushroom and this
candy cap mushrooms
and
chaga,
and like all these things, and we'd be like, all right, what is this? And we do a blind tasting, and we'd be like, all right, what does this taste like? And it sounds a little bit off the wall, but it meant that we found things like sweet fern that have just transformed our gin. So I think it's so cool how this place has not just let us love and hate each other even more, but also build connections outside of this with our community in Leslieville, with people across the country, and with our suppliers as well.
That recipe development actually took a while, but they're not always kind of as well thought out as that.
That recipe development, the spreadsheet alone, where we rated every ingredient and
flavor mapping,
months of work. And months. And I'll never forget my favorite kind of story of, especially when you're kind of starting a business or you're kind of in that entrepreneurial spirit, is try it and learn, right? And it was, I think maybe 2 days. I think we had 2 days, and you popped into the office and I was working on something, and you go, Graham, there's a submission for the LCBO for a ready-to-drink cocktail. So a cocktail in a can. And okay, well, this is something that usually takes about 6 months of research and development to prepare. And it was like, we should probably submit something, right? Let's submit something. And then it became, okay, what can we make sure we can do well? Well, we've got good gin. We like our gin. We've got great tonic water. And we said, okay, let's 1642 tonic water. Great tonic water. What if we just mix the two? And we just pour gin into a bottle.
Revolutionary.
And we just poured tonic water into a bottle.
Shipped it off.
Put a cap on it and shipped it off to the LCBO. And we kind of didn't think it was going to go anywhere because we're not some multinational corporation, and within, I think it was a month, they sent an email back being like, it's approved. Now get ready.
We scrambled.
I'll never forget calling up Bastien, being like, Bastien, the owner of 1642, and I said, hey, we submitted a product to the LCBO, it was approved, and it was using your tonic water. You think we can make something work here?
They've been wonderful.
Absolutely. And that's it, right? Like all the connections we've made over the years, I think that's one. I mean, from our staff as well. That's something that I don't think I was anticipating coming into this. Was just the connections you make with the staff and with the community. 5 years though. Very memorable. We were hopeful to get our doors open.
A lot of support from the Toronto area, from the community. It's been great.
And across the country and across Ontario now too. And I go up to North Bay, and you go and meet the people in the LCBO. They're like, "Oh, it's the Reids." And you go like, "What?" So, I'm glad we actually got the time to talk about this. But it's such an incredible.
5 years and 5 and many more.
50 more. How about
Cheers.
Cheers.